I love the Arkham games. I remember back in 2015 anxiously awaiting the release of Arkham Knight. I pre-downloaded it and played it the day it released. I remember completing the game 100% and sucking all the life I could out of it. And while I didn't experience any issues playing the game on my PC, most of my fellow PC players were not as lucky. The PC port had major technical issues, which resulted in them delaying the DLC. By the time it finally came out, I had moved on and never managed to go back and play it. However, now, in 2023, I decided to go back. So, I finally played Arkham Knight's DLC. The Arkham DLC includes a variety of different skins for Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Catwoman, and even the Batmobile, as well as new racing challenges and challenge maps. Some of the skins included are really cool, like the different movie skins including Batman 1989, The Dark Knight, and even Ben Affleck's Batman, as well as their associated Batmobiles. And they even have some special races inspired by the movies. These races were very cool and fit each movie well. The tracks inspired by the 1960 TV show had the classic Batman theme playing in the background as you race your way through iconic set pieces and props, like the iconic Batcopter, and even references to the hilarious shark propellant used in the 1960s Batman movie. They even referenced the famous scene with Batman and Robin climbing up a building with rope, and you even get to perform the feat yourself just like they did back in the day, with the building being placed on its side to give the illusion that you're driving up it. The whole track is set up like a production, with studio lights on rails above you, hand-painted scene backdrops, and obstacles that look like cardboard cutouts. You can even see the inspiration bleed into the failure states, as when you fail, the classic Batman logo that's used in transitions between scenes in the old TV series pops up, accompanied by the transition music. The Dark Knight inspired tracks were truly cinematic and felt like they came right out of the movie. If you play one of these tracks, do yourself a favor and use the tumbler, as it definitely enhances the experience. They captured the movie brilliantly with tons of destructible pillars and walls that your tumbler can absolutely plow through with ease, just like the movies. They also managed to capture some specific scenes from the movie, like emerging through the waterfall while exiting the Batcave, or jumping across the rooftops of Gotham while under fire from the GCPD. It all comes together with that amazing Dark Knight score, creating a truly cinematic experience. The 1989 Batman tracks were great too. Nothing can beat that classic Batman soundtrack by Danny Elfman. The tracks also managed to capture the darker and gothic feel of the Tim Burton movies quite well, with the jagged and creepy lines created by the trees and the moody lighting. There was also a number of references to the movies, including the duck carts that Penguin rides in Batman Returns, and the float that the Joker uses in his parade in the final battle against Batman. The DLC also included a number of new challenge maps. Some of the Predator map highlights included some cool locations like the Batcave, Wayne Manor, and even a haunted house set. It was really cool to see Arkham Knight's version of the Batcave, since we don't get to see it throughout the game. It included elements such as the giant T-Rex that we have seen in the Batcave throughout the comics, as well as the Batwing that picks up the Batmobile in the game, and even the original Batmobile that we see in Arkham City. The Wayne Manor map was small, but it was still pretty cool to explore, even though it was just a hallway. But hey, Bruce Wayne's hallway is bigger than some people's houses. In the Haunted House map, Nightwing is the default character to play as. The map is quite fun to play in, and is a nice, unique setting that is not found anywhere in the main game. There was also a few maps that had different play modes, like Credit Crunch, which had you playing as Robin, with the goal being to take down a certain number of enemies before they steal too much money, and my personal favorite map, the Endless Night, which acted as an endless Predator mission, where you had to keep taking down waves of endless enemies, each takedown resulting in more time being added to the clock. This one was so much fun, and a nice shake-up to the common Predator formula. The combat challenge maps had some pretty cool locations as well. They brought back some fan favorite locations from Arkham City, like the Iceberg Lounge, which featured Killer Croc watching in the background as you take down waves of thugs. They brought back Crime Alley, the place where Batman's parents died, and even the Monarch Theater, which served as the final boss fight in Arkham City. My favorite of all the added maps though was the Wild Cat map, which had you play as Catwoman in a Wild West themed map with endless waves of enemies. I guess I'm just a sucker for these endless enemy challenges. While these new maps were fun, the DLC I was most excited for was the story-driven DLC. The story DLC included 4 new side quests added to the main game via the Season of Infamy Most Wanted, as well as additional Arkham episodes that followed different members of the Bat family, including the Harley Quinn story pack, the Red Hood story pack, Catwoman's Revenge, a flip of a coin featuring Tim Drake's Robin, GCPD Lockdown featuring Nightwing, and A Matter of Family featuring Batgirl. The Season of Infamy Most Wanted side missions included 4 side quests following 4 different villains. In my opinion, most of them are too short, and I would have liked for them to be a bit longer. However, this seems to be an ongoing problem with the Arkham games, as they've never been really good at side missions. The side missions in Arkham City are very interesting and fun, but they seem to be over before they manage to hit their stride. These new side missions tend to follow the same pattern of investigating something, retrieving something, and then battling the villain, and the loop is just too short. The stories told in the side missions, however, are great. The mission following Killer Croc is tense and mysterious as they show you a brief glimpse of the new Croc towards the beginning, and his absolutely massive size and new tail can't help but make you wonder how he got that way. And when the truth is finally revealed about what happened to him while he was in Iron Heights, you cannot help but feel bad for him. What stinks is that the reveal is kind of just shoved in at the end, with a video explaining what happened. It would have been nice to extend the mission a little longer, slowly revealing pieces of the puzzle until you finally confront the Croc and Warden at the end. The Mad Hatter's mission is another one that is greatly affected by not having enough time to fully flesh out the idea. Honestly, this one is probably the weakest in regards to story and gameplay. The majority of the mission consists of you finding police officers on the map somewhere and defusing a bomb using your hacking device. Luckily, the side quest is somewhat saved by the final confrontation, where Batman is transported into a pop-up storybook that follows the 3 main Arkham games, bringing back enemies and set pieces from each of the game. This part was awesome, but again, it was really short, and the rest of the mission doesn't really have the same level of mystique and identity that this final battle has. Ra's al Ghul's mission seemed to be one of the better ones in length, even though it was still too short. It starts off with you having to follow a blood trail across Gotham City's many rooftops. This ends up being a very long distance and even has you running through some enemy encounters along the way. Normally, I would hate a mission like this, where you're simply following a trail, but for some reason, I really enjoyed this one. Maybe it was because the trail went across the rooftops and was so long, or maybe it was the fact that the direction and the trail that you follow seems like it was left by a ninja, as it jumps across gaps, climbs up walls, and even leaves some bodies along the way. The mission also includes a few puzzles to solve to get into the League's headquarters, which was a nice change of pace, and they even managed to include a choice at the end that allowed you to choose how the story ended. This option of choice is not one that's often given in Arkham games, so it was kind of nice to see here. The best of these side missions by far, though, was the Mr. Freeze mission. This mission starts out with a Predator map on a boat encased in an iceberg off the coast of Gotham. After taking out all the guards, you can enter the boat to find Mr. Freeze. There you find out that Arkham Knight's henchmen have taken Nora, Freeze's wife, and Batman offers to help him get her back. This results in another Predator map where you need to save Nora. After that, the generator on Freeze's ship overloads and creates a massive ice explosion that freezes Gotham. Then you get to ride the Batmobile on the newly created ice track to get to Freeze in time. This was a fun change of pace from the rest of the missions and was kind of cool to get a change in scenery as well with the snow-covered Gotham. The final battle is a tank battle, and I know the tank battles are controversial, but I didn't mind this one. It could have been that I have not played Arkham Knight in so long that I hadn't grown tired of the combat, but it did nail that feeling of endless waves of enemy coming that you had no chance of stopping. The ending with Victor and Nora traveling off together was the perfect ending for the character. I think what makes this even more special was that we got to experience Victor Freeze's origins in Arkham Origins DLC Cold Cold Heart, and then got to see his rather big role in Arkham City. It's only fitting that he gets the ending he deserves in the final entry in the Arkham lineup. Overall, the side missions provided by Season of Infamy Most Wanted were fun and told some good, albeit short, stories. If they extended the loop just a bit, allowing the stories and missions to be more fleshed out, it would be perfect. Along with the side missions that were added with Season of Infamy, the DLC also included a number of Arkham episodes, which followed different characters of the Bat family. A flip of a coin had you playing as Tim Drake's Robin, as you track down Two-Face, who has recently escaped from the GCPD after the events of Arkham Knight. You find out early on that Tim and Barbara just got married, and the mission is taking place during what should be their honeymoon. This Arkham episode is okay in my opinion. It didn't really do anything wrong, but it just didn't really do anything to stand out. The opening Predator map was pretty fun, and it had a nice sense of verticality to it, with a massive furnace in the middle of the map that had multiple levels. The pacing of the DLC overall was pretty good, varying the gameplay from Predator maps to more of a puzzle encounter to regular combat encounters. I have to say, I personally don't like playing as Robin. His moveset seems disappointingly similar to Batman, but not nearly as good. It leaves me just wishing I could play as Batman. Kind of hilarious when you think of the fact that during the whole DLC, Robin is trying to stop being compared to Batman, almost like the developers kinda knew. Unfortunately though, the episode was so short that it ends just as you're getting into it. Catwoman's Revenge has you playing as Catwoman as she attempts to steal all the Riddler's money and destroy his robot factory in order to try to get revenge on him for what he put her through during the events of Arkham Knight. Catwoman is one of my favorite non-Batman characters to play as, probably beaten only by Harley Quinn. Her moveset is different enough, especially in the Predator missions, to really set her apart. Playing as her makes you feel like an animal stalking its prey. Her crouch movement, used for sneaking around, feels fast as she drops down to all fours and moves with the agility of a cat, giving her the feeling of true speed when stalking that Batman simply does not have. Her ability to climb on the ceilings also changes the gameplay up a bit, allowing you to get up close to your enemies before pouncing. I honestly really enjoy the opening to this DLC episode. However, the next part of the episode was where it fell flat for me, putting you in another robot arena, just like the ones that Batman and Catwoman fought in during the main game. I was not a huge fan of these during the main game, mainly because they just seemed impossible at times, probably due to the disconnect between an arena riddled with trap floors that requires you to stay in one place compared to Arkham's combat design, which focuses on free flow combat, which can move you across the screen in moments. These challenges are frustrating and disappointing. Arkham's combat loop is great, and it really lives up to the name of free flow combat, letting you glide through the air to your next opponent. When you get into the groove of executing attacks with perfect timing, the game lets you feel like that one-man army that so many superheroes seem to be. This honestly is one of the best things about the Arkham games, and these robot missions seem to be designed to be the complete opposite of that, where the next enemy that you attack could be located on an electric floor tile that results in your swift death. At first, this doesn't seem quite so bad, but as time goes on, you'll find yourself still fighting with only 4 tiles in the middle available to safely navigate. It becomes impossible to continue fighting. If you've played this mission before, you're probably yelling at the screen saying, well, just beat up all the robots before the arena gets small then. And if you said that, you're correct. That appears to be the only way to beat this challenge. However, the only real way that I found to accomplish this is to not utilize the takedown combos that pop up as prompts on the screen because they simply take too much time to complete. It's much more efficient to simply use the free flow combat critical strikes, as they are much more effective and much quicker. After learning this trick and doing it, I was able to clear the arena rather easily. However, it was rather frustrating and annoying that the takedowns couldn't be used, and there's no really indication that that was the case. If anything, the prompts made it seem like you needed to use the takedowns to successfully beat the mission. Anyway, that rant has gone on long enough. I might have been a little bit salty about that. This DLC also seemed extremely short. Funnily, I think this one was technically longer than the Robin one, but the Robin one felt longer. Maybe it was because there was more variation in the Robin DLC, or maybe it was the abrupt ending that the Catwoman DLC got, with her simply just taking Ed's money and it fading to black. I guess I kind of expected to have to solve another riddle or something to steal the cash, but nope, it just ended. GCPD Lockdown had you play as Nightwing, as you have to stop Penguin from escaping from the GCPD. I enjoyed this one. Nightwing is really fun to play. His moveset varies slightly from Batman with his extremistics, but he honestly feels the most like Batman in regards to speed and options. I didn't have nearly as much time difficulty controlling a crowd with Nightwing as I did with Robin, but where this DLC really shines is with Nightwing's character. Nightwing is the only member of the Bat family to feel lighthearted and fun. He's constantly throwing out quips and impersonating guards to play jokes on Penguin. He honestly made the story that much more fun. The gameplay itself seems to be varied rather well, switching between combat to Predator missions often, which again helps the episode seem longer than the Catwoman one. The location was interesting as well, as it takes place in the GCPD with a very open format, allowing you to enter different parts of the story freely, alternating between the rooftops and the interior. Overall, this was a fun DLC and was definitely worth playing. The Red Hood story pack has you playing as Red Hood after the events of Arkham Knight as you go after Black Mask. I honestly have mixed feelings about this one. I think it did start to grow on me the longer I played it. It definitely has a different feeling from the other episodes involving the Bat family, as Red Hood does not mind killing, and boy does he do a lot of it through this rather short story. He's the only playable character to sport guns, and his brutal combat style definitely leads to some differences in your playstyle. When you get to the Predator mission, you can really see this, as Red Hood cannot perform silent takedowns from grates or vantage points, nor can he perform silent ledge takedowns. He can, however, perform takedowns from grates and vantage points, or even weak glass, but these are loud and are guaranteed to catch the attention of pretty much every other enemy on the map. This definitely threw me for a loop, as I was used to silently picking off my prey and retreating to the shadows, and at first I found myself rather frustrated. However, the challenge forced me to play a little differently and use different strategies. I found myself learning the map inside and out, trying to utilize every piece that was available to me. My new strategy was to get someone alone, take them out, and then use that as a distraction for the majority of the guards that would go to investigate, while I quickly made my way to the other side of the map to take out the lone person that failed to go with his friends to investigate the noise. Style began to grow on me the more I played, and I started to have more fun as I accepted the challenge. I also really loved the fight at the end with Black Mask and his goons. Something about taking on endless waves of enemy and balancing all the different types really gives a fantastic cap off. The Harley Quinn story pack, much like the name suggests, has you playing as Harley Quinn and takes place before the events of Arkham Knight as you infiltrate the Bloodhaven Police Department to break out Poison Ivy. I honestly loved this one. Harley Quinn is so fun and different to play as. Like Red Hood, she is loud. Actually, even louder. Harley does not have a silent takedown option, with her attack prompts instead reading as loud takedown. However, Harley has a couple of things to make up for it. She has laughing gas to provide her cover and escape during tough situations, and she is fast. Her movement allows you to jump across the map very quickly by climbing up walls and leaping across gaps. Her movement set fits the fact that she's a lighter character very well, as it feels fast and almost air-like. The last thing in Harley's arsenal that makes a huge difference is Mayhem Mode. This is a meter that fills up the more people you take down and allows you to enter a rage state where you can damage stronger and faster. This can be used to easily take out 4 or 5 enemies without taking a hit. Very similar to the fear takedowns that Batman can do, just without targeting specific enemies. Harley's detective mode is also very interesting. It's called Psychosis mode. It highlights enemies as expected, but also puts nonsense scribblings on all of the walls, showing just how disturbed Harley Quinn's mind really is. You can also even hear Harleen Quinzel, Harley Quinn's sane side, talking to her in this mode as well, asking her if she's really happy to be doing all this.
You feel comfortable doing what you're doing?
Is that a trick question? I don't like those.
It's a nice touch and adds another reason to enjoy playing as Harley. Harley is also just funny. This is the only story pack to allow you to truly play as a villain, attacking the Bloodhaven Police Department. It really is a nice change of pace, and Harley's acrobatic and brutal combat style makes it all the more fun. It also is the only pack to put you up against one of the main heroes as you get to fight Nightwing in the final battle. Overall, this story pack was a blast. My only complaint is that there was not enough of it. I really wish that they had given a longer story here, more like the length of the Matter of a Family DLC, because Harley Quinn's character is just so unique. I just don't think that they gave it enough time to truly take advantage of all that she had to offer. It would be awesome to get a standalone Harley Quinn title inspired by this DLC, even if it was shorter than a main title. Something like the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. Harley Quinn is a fan favorite and has proven that she could definitely lead a title. For proof, look no further than the Harley Quinn TV show, which is a hilarious and brilliant take on the different characters of Gotham, with Harley Quinn at the lead. Come on, Rocksteady, please make this happen. Matter of Family is the longest DLC and is honestly the length I wish the rest of them were. Playing as Batgirl is fun. She has a very similar moveset to Batman, but feels a bit lighter. Her hacking device gives new opportunities to distract, blind, and even scare enemies, opening them up to different attacks. The story of the DLC is okay. It has Jim Gordon being kidnapped by the Joker and Harley Quinn, and Batgirl and Robin having to save him, without the assistance of Batman. It makes for an okay enough story, with the real star of the show being that we get to hear Mark Hamill's Joker again. The pacing and gameplay is nice, with a very open approach. You have access to the whole amusement park, which is much smaller than any of the main story maps throughout the Arkham series, but it still serves as a nice open map to explore, and even provides you with some choices on which objectives you are going to tackle first. The objectives themselves are alternating predator and combat encounters that take place in a variety of environments. Everything from a carousel to a Ferris wheel, and even a sunken ship. In my opinion, the sunken ship was my favorite. Starting out with the ship's facade that when you enter takes you through a sprawling maze that spits out at a predator map that I found really fun to play, with a variety of unique hacking opportunities. The final battle against Joker and Harley was a nice balancing act, since you had to pay attention to both Harley and Joker's uncounterable attacks, as well as the never-ending wave of goons. Overall, this DLC was fun and definitely worth playing, especially if you like the standard Arkham formula, as this DLC simply is an extension of it. Overall, the Arkham DLC is okay. It definitely had some standout moments in both storytelling and gameplay. Out of all the DLC, my favorites are probably both the Season of Infamy, because of the great stories that it had to wrap up some of the characters we have grown to love from the Arkham games, and the Harley Quinn DLC, simply because she was so fun to play as. The length of the DLC is probably my biggest critique, and I almost wish that rather than having 6 separate Arkham episodes with 6 different characters, they would have just done 2 or 3 and spent more time developing just those few. The Arkham series has had a great run, including 4 great games, and if Rocksteady ever wanted to continue it, I think they definitely could pull from the Nightwing or Harley Quinn DLCs, given that both the characters are really fun to play and both have a very strong personality that could carry their own game. So, I finally played Arkham Knight's DLC, and honestly, I'm glad I did. Thanks so much for watching. I know this was a little bit different from our normal video essay style. We do have a few of those in the pipeline, so be sure to subscribe if you're interested in seeing those and don't want to miss out. But we're really trying to spend time on the writing and researching for those to make sure that they're the best they can be. So they're gonna take a while, and I wanted some videos to fill in the gap. I really enjoyed making this one. I mean, I love the Arkham games and I'm a huge Batman fan. I am planning on continuing this series of So I Finally Played, so I can work through my backlog of games that I should have already played by now. Would love to hear from you guys if you have any suggestions on games I should play, and on the So I Finally Played series as a whole. What do you think? You can let us know in the comments or head on over to our Discord. Links in the description. As always, a big shout out to our Patreons, JRev and CC. We really appreciate it. And lastly, I'd love to know your thoughts on the Arkham Knight DLC. Do you think it was too short? Do you think it was just the right amount? Let me know. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.